I personally feel that the gaming industry has reached a bad ending. The hobby itself is getting increasingly expensive. You also have subscriptions that are on an all-time high. We're at microtransaction hell. And finally, we have AI being shoved in our faces. If you haven't heard already, Nvidia just recently announced DLSS 5, which they dubbed the biggest breakthrough in computer graphics since ray tracing. They even went as far as to dub DLSS 5 as the GPT moment for gaming. And you would think that DLSS 5 is going to take computer graphics to a whole new level, but instead, it doesn't take computer graphics to a whole new level. It just generates that level instead. And we're going to be talking about that today and why gamers are pretty upset about this. So just to lay down some context before we get into the meat and potatoes of it all, you have DLSS, which is a performance tool that was made by Nvidia back in like 2017, 2018, somewhere before the pandemic. Basically, DLSS stands for Deep Learning Super Sampling. The whole point of the tool was that, say you had a graphics card that would render your video game like at 1080p. If you wanted to render your game at 4K resolution, or at least upscale it, that's the proper way of saying it, you would enable DLSS. And what DLSS did was that it would be able to upscale the graphics of your game or upscale the resolution without having to use additional resources from your computer. So in short, your computer doesn't have to work extra hard to achieve a certain visual effect. And that was the sales pitch of it all. Like, DLSS was pitched to many game developers alike, including gamers themselves. It was a pretty solid tool. No one had an issue with it. It's widely supported. There's hundreds upon hundreds of games that use DLSS, especially the previous version, DLSS 4. It was a very popular tool. But then DLSS 5 got introduced in the GTC keynote by Jensen Huang, who is the CEO of Nvidia. Now, what makes DLSS 5 so different is that it's no longer just a performance tool. Or maybe it is, but it doesn't feel like a performance. It swears that it's enhancing the visual graphics of your games in real time, but it doesn't feel like it's enhancing. It feels like it's just overriding what is intended in your game. And when I say generate, it literally does just that. It's basically just an AI software that's just looking at the game. It takes certain conditions from the game, like the lighting, the weather, the texture, the character themselves, and it hallucinates what it thinks is the best way to display this art style. And then once it figures out what it looks like, it then overwrites the original art that is in your game. It's like as if this tech is sort of bridging the gap between what a game engine could render in milliseconds versus what a film studio can render in hours, and then just put the two together, like bridging the gap. This is what DLSS 5 is trying to achieve, except it's very uncanny. Instead, what we would get is just a whole bunch of video game characters being ran through a beautifier app, Facetune, whatever you want to call it, and everybody looks like uncanny Instagram models. It's very unsettling. First in the shot, we will have Grace, who is one of the protagonists for Resident Evil Requiem, and she gets hit with this DLSS 5 treatment. You can look on the left, this is her original render, but then on the right with DLSS 5 enabled, she doesn't even look realistic. Like, her face just looks just about generated. She looks like someone just ran her face through one of those AI photo filters, like the beautifier apps that just turns everyone to like an uncanny Instagram model. Like, if you were to ask me, this is one of those things that you would see if there was like an angry guy on Reddit that decided that women are just looking too masculine in gaming and stood up almost all night to fix the problem or make Grace look more feminine. And this is the fix that he has on the right at 2 o'clock in the morning. Then you have Leon Kennedy, who comes from the same game. He doesn't look any different. I'm gonna be honest with you, it doesn't look any different. He was completely fine the way he is, but then they put DLSS 5 on and nothing really changed so much about him except for the lighting. You could see his eyes reflect the light better. You can see more texture in his hair, but other than that, that's really it. Like maybe his beard looks a little different, more tuned, but that's it. Then we have Starfield, which I will say this right now, there's no amount of AI or beautifying apps that you can throw at this game to make the NPCs in this game look any better. I will give it the credit that the outfit kind of looks a little bit cleaner. There's more definition. I really am not a fan of this. It's not even like, oh, it's a graphics issue. It's just, no, your characters just look really ugly. Then finally, we have Hogwarts Legacy that would get hit with the treatment, and I feel so bad because they took grandma over here, deep fried her, and to throw insult to injury, they decided to add more wrinkles. It's like AI looked at this and said, oh, you're not old, you're really old. Let's throw some wrinkles on here. Like, I don't understand why anybody would want this. Now, what makes this even funnier is the fact that these are all just screenshots. They show like a little clip, like the animation, and then they would just show you a slide, and it's like a screenshot side-by-side comparison, and then they'll play the game a little bit again for like a few seconds. So in other words, what I'm saying is they showcase this tech, but they only showcase it at a freeze, and then maybe 1 or 2 seconds later. They're not really showing you a full minute of what this tech would look like and how it would really improve the visual aesthetics of the world and the character. Now, I think it's very important to understand what's going on underneath the hood of the DLSS 5 thing, because I will say that this was never a thing for DLSS. Again, it was just a performance tool that would help your computer just perform better, but save on that performance at the same time. Your computer isn't working on overdrive just to improve the visual aesthetics of your game. DLSS 5 was never that. It's just now that in DLSS 5, the new generation, AI is now front and center. Like, AI is the reason why your games are going to look better. Basically, Nvidia has this tool known as RTX neural faces or neural rendering, something like that. Basically, to put shortly, it was a software tool that would take photographs of a lot of faces of humans and would understand what a human face would look like or how to generate a human face. It would take that knowledge, and anytime DLSS 5 would run, it would take a face, generate it based off of the lighting, the texture, the age, yada, 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 and then would just overwrite the face of the original art. Now, people would think that this is sort of like enhancing the game in some way, shape, or form, but it's really not. You're really just overwriting the original art, and it doesn't look good, especially with the examples that we showed earlier. Now, fundamentally, DLSS never done this. DLSS wasn't using AI to improve the graphics of your game. Or maybe it did, but not so much. It wasn't generating a whole new different face or a whole new different world to see. It was just, hey, we're just going to improve the graphics just a little bit and save you on your performance. But now you have something that artists especially will feel some type of way because they feel as if their art is just a suggestion and AI knows better on what their game should look like. Now, Nvidia did defend the tech. They did say that they received a lot of backlash, especially from gamers about this tech. And Nvidia would go on to say that, hey, listen, like, developers do have the ability to tone down on the intensity, the color grading, the textures and whatnot of DLSS 5. They can enable it, they can disable it. It's completely up to you. Nvidia just basically said, hey, if you want to tone down the yesifier filter, then you can do that. Like, it's a choice. You don't have to have DLSS 5 in your games. Nvidia would go on to say that DLSS 5 takes the game's color and motion vectors for each frame as input and uses an AI model to infuse the screen with photoreal lighting and materials that are anchored to source 3D content and consistent from frame to frame. DLSS 5 runs in real time at up to 4K resolution for a smooth, interactive gameplay. Calling the new system on, quote, the GPT moment for graphics, and comparing it to a pre-rendered Hollywood cinema effects, Nvidia said that the system adds its details for subsurface scattering on skin, lighting effects on fabric and hair, and other complex effects, while on, quote, retaining the structure and semantics of the original scene. And of course, Nvidia would defend the tech demo, because you can see on the bottom, I ran the video URL from their actual YouTube page into the third-party site to see how much dislikes they would get, and it seems as if for every like or thumbs up they had 4 or 5 additional dislikes. So if I can entertain you a bit, let's add some silver linings here. let's say are some good things in this tech that Nvidia introduced for us, because I personally feel it's not all doom and gloom. Yes, the faces are really weird. I think it's completely unnecessary. But if there are some good things that we can take from this tech demo, and this is more of a personal thing than anything else, I speak for myself when I say this. But for one, I think it does improve in other areas. Like, for instance, like there is legitimate improvement when it comes to the lighting. I think the lighting is really good. The world, adding texture to the world is actually something else. I actually welcome that more than anything else. If you notice in the examples that I provided, they also did add texture to the clothing. Like there's a little bit of definition, even down to like the leather. I personally feel like that is a great improvement to the textures of the game. And especially when you break it down to hair details, which is like the bane of every game developer's existence, I'm pretty sure that DLSS 5 has a place when it comes to improving these little things. Secondly, we do have to understand that this is an early reveal. This tech doesn't drop until the fall of 2026. So what we're seeing here may not be the final product. There are many improvements that can be made. There's plenty of time to make changes. So yes, I can respect that, hey, this is all that we see on DLSS 5. So if we're ever going to form an opinion, we would form an opinion based off of what Nvidia showed us. But even then, I think at the same time, you can also acknowledge that this is just an early reveal. And finally, there is an argument that is brought up where DLSS 5 could be really good for those that are owners of low tier to mid tier graphics cards. Because if you have a graphics card that is struggling to achieve a certain visual effect, you would have DLSS 5 that will kick in to bridge the gap between what your computer or your graphics card can render to what DLSS 5 can achieve. Because let's be honest, not everybody has a 5090 or a 4090 graphics card. Graphics cards are very expensive in this current market. I have a 4060. I'm not going to be upgrading my graphics card anytime soon. So if I was ever playing a game and DLSS 5 was an option and I was unsatisfied with the graphics that my graphics card can render, maybe I may push it a little bit with DLSS 5. I think there is a solid advantage here. With all that said and done, when you look at the face of the main character, the character that's at the center of the stage, you see them almost in the entirety of the game, things get weird because you have a situation where it's not a technical issue, it's a philosophical issue. Because again, as I mentioned before, Nvidia is introducing this tech and is saying that your art style that you implemented into your game as intended is just a suggestion. Our AI knows better. Our AI knows what your game should really look like. We know how the lighting works. We add additional textures to your games. We know what your character should look like if their graphical enhancements were to improve in some way, shape, or form. AI does that for you. AI can do these things, whereas an average developer that's developing a game can't do. And yeah, of course, gamers and developers are going to feel some type of way. Nvidia never really said that, but through this tech, it feels as if that's the message that's being sent to them. But there you have it. You have Nvidia that's just revealed DLSS 5, and it's running every single video game character through a beautifying app. Everyone is just getting yesified. And this is what I mean when I feel as if we're definitely reaching like the bad ending of gaming. Because again, AI is being shoved in our face. The hobby is just getting really expensive. And there's subscriptions. You don't really own your games anymore. The list just goes on and on and on and on. And it doesn't even look any better for gaming. But we're going to see where this goes. I mean, there's plenty of changes that could be made between now and fall of 2026. But gamers generally aren't really too excited about this because why would you want a tech that overwrites the original art of your favorite games? But until then, that's really all I have. If you made it this far, don't forget to subscribe. And until then, I'll see you all in my next video. Take care. Peace.